everyone, welcome to the civics class of class 7th. Today we are going to start with the new lesson number 2 of civics, the directive principles of state policy. Learning outcomes of the lesson. Children will be able to discuss the meaning of directive principles of state policy, examine the features of welfare state, and list the activities of the welfare state by the concerned local authorities. Key concepts of the lesson. In this lesson, we will discuss about welfare state features, directive principles of state policy and its meaning. Number 2, we will discuss principles promoting economic equality, general principles. And number 3, we will discuss the difference between fundamental rights and the directive principles. Now, topics to be discussed in today's video. In today's video, we will discuss the introduction, the directive principles of state policy, the fundamental rights and overview, and the fundamental duties. Terms to be discussed in today's topic. Number 1. Welfare state. A system whereby the state undertakes to protect the health and well-being of its citizens. Number 2. Categorically means directly and clearly. Number 3. Hereafter, from now on. Number 4. Civil code, set of laws for the citizens of a country. Number 7. Egalitarian means to believe in the principle that all people are equal and deserve equal rights and opportunities. Number 8. Coercion, to pursuit by using force. Number 9. Cherish, to protect and care. Number 10. Arbitrary means based on random choice or a personal whim. Constitution, a book of rules and regulations according to which a country is governed. Let's start with the introduction of the topic. The Constitution of India was framed by the Constituent Assembly set up under the Cabinet Mission Plan of 1946. It was adopted by the Constituent Assembly of India on 26 November 1949 and became effective on 26 January 1950. In that, they have given some rights, some duties, and the directive principles. The directive principles of state policy are the guidelines for the framing of laws by the government. The framers of our constitution wanted to establish a welfare state in our country, which means a state where people have equal opportunities in all the fields and equal distribution of wealth. For achieving this goal, the Constitution provides the fundamental rights and duties. The fundamental rights are defined as the basic human rights of all citizens. These rights ensure a decent standard of living and maintenance of the dignity of every individual. Here the word dignity we mean the state of honor or respect. Let's start with the reading. Directive Principles of State Policy. The framers of our constitution wanted to establish a welfare state in our country. That is, a state where people have equal opportunities in all fields and equal distribution of wealth. For this, the Constitution provides for the fundamental rights that ensures a decent standard of living and maintenance of the dignity of every individual. We have discussed this paragraph beforehand as an introduction. Let's continue with the reading. According to Justice K.S. Hegre, the purpose of the directive principle is to fix certain social and economic goals for immediate attainments by bringing about non-violent social revolution. Through such a social revolution, the Constitution seeks to fulfill the basic needs of the common man and to change the structure of our society. It aims at making the Indian masses free in positive sense. Justice K.S. Hegre was an Indian politician who served as a judge in the Supreme Court of India and later as the Speaker of Lok Sabha. According to K.S. Hegre, the purpose of directive principles is to fix the goals and certain social and economic conditions of the common people for achieving goals by bringing about a non-violent social revolution. Here the word social revolutions mean They are the sudden changes in the structure and nature of society. These revolutions are usually recognized as having transformed in society, culture, philosophy, and technology, much more the political system. Through such a social revolution, the Constitution seeks to fulfill the basic needs of the common man and to change the structure of our society. It aims at making the Indian people free in a positive sense. Let's continue with the reading. Our Constitution declares that these principles are fundamental in the governance of our country, and it is the duty of the state to apply these principles in making laws. Although the directive principles are not enforceable by the courts, yet they seek to achieve the ideals of democratic welfare state. In our constitution, in Article 37, while stating that the directive principles are not enforceable in any court of law, declares them to be fundamental to the governance of the country, that imposes an obligation on the state to apply them in matters of legislation, and it is a duty of the state to apply these principles in making laws. Yet they seek to achieve the ideals of democratic welfare state, means directive principles are meant to achieve the ideas of welfare state. Welfare state is a system whereby the state undertakes to protect the health and well-being of its citizens. Let's continue with the reading. The directive principles of state policy are contained in Part 4 of our Constitution from Article 36 to Article 51. Here, the word article we mean it is a separate and distinct part of written document or agreement containing rules and regulations. Let's continue. The inspiration for the directive principles came from the concept of a welfare state. The framers of the Constitution aspired to represent the directive principles as an effective instrument for social and economic revolution. Article 37 clearly declares that the directive principles are fundamental in the governance of a country, and it shall be the duty of the state to apply these principles in making laws. Students, we have already discussed this part in the beginning as an introduction. Let's continue. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar categorically means directly and clearly said in the Constituent Assembly that the directive principles were not meant to be mere pious declarations. Mere means just only, and pious means devotedly religious. Constituent Assembly or Constitutional Assembly is a body or assembly of a popularly elected representatives which were assembled for the purpose of drafting or adopting a constitution or similar document. In Article 37 clearly declares in the Constitution that directive principles are fundamental in nature in the governance of the country, and it shall be the duty of the state to apply these principles in making laws. Directive principles were not meant to be just devotedly religious statement. Let's continue. He, Dr. Ambedkar, said it is the intention of the assembly that in future both the legislature and the executive should not merely pay lip service to these principles enacted in this part, but they should be made the basis of all executive and legislative actions that may be taken hereafter in the matters of governance of the country. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar said the directive principles were added in the Constitution were not meant only as a written statement. It is the intention of the framers or the Constituent Assembly that in future by both the legislature and the executive should not only meant as a lip words or keep in document. These principles may be taken from now onwards in the matters of the governance of the country. Here the word legislature means law-making body and executive means law implementing body. Now we are going to start with another topic, the fundamental rights and overview. Before starting up with the topic, I would like to tell you about what is right and what is duty. As a student, you are coming to school. getting the proper education, proper infrastructure, proper water supply, water facility, proper electricity, it should be provided to you. That is your right because you are a student and you are coming to the school for your study purpose. Students, rights and duties. It goes parallel. Supposedly, you are a student, you are coming to school, you are getting so many rights. Still, you have certain duties to perform also. If you are coming to school, you have to come on time. To come to school in a proper uniform, that is your duty. To call your teacher when there is a period, that is your duty. So, you have to perform your duties along with your rights. Similarly, in the Constitution also, the Constitution has given us some rights and some duties. So, we will discuss the fundamental rights and duties side by side. Let's start with the reading. Our Constitution guarantees certain basic rights to every citizen of India that are called fundamental rights. These rights are essential not only to run a democratic government but also for an individual citizen to develop her or his personality. Fundamental rights are the basic rights which are given to every citizen of India to lead a happy and comfortable life. The fundamental rights are an essential component of democratic society. The rights which are included in Part 3 of Indian Constitution are referred to as fundamental rights. The fundamental rights are an essential component of democratic society. The success or failure of a democracy depends on the extent to which civil freedom are enjoyed by its citizens. These rights are essential not only to run a democratic government but also for an individual to develop his and her personality. Let's continue with the reading. According to Justice K.S. Hegde, the purpose of the fundamental right is to create an egalitarian society to free all citizens from coercion or restriction of society and to make liberty available for all. The purpose of fundamental rights is to create an egalitarian society, means believing in or based on the principle that all people are equal and deserve equal rights and opportunities to free all citizens from coercion, means to pursuit by using forces or restrictions of society and to make liberty available. Here the word liberty means freedom. Let's continue with the reading. According to Justice P.N. Bhagwati, these fundamental rights represent the basic values cherished by the people. Here, the word cherished means to protect and care of the country since the Vedic times, and they are calculated to protect the dignity of the individual and create conditions in which every human being can develop his personality to the fullest extent. The purpose of the fundamental right is to preserve individual liberty and democratic principles based on equality of all members of society. Dr. Ambedkar said that the responsibility of the legislature is not just to provide fundamental rights but also and rather more importantly to safeguard them. Since the Vedic times, these fundamental rights are protected by the people of this country. They are calculated to protect the respect and honor of the individual and create conditions in which every individual citizen can develop his and her personality. Let's continue with the reading. The fundamental rights are guaranteed to us by our Constitution. These rights aim at protecting the liberty of an individual as well as preserving the principles of democracy. Here, the word democracy means government for the people, by the people, of the people. While drafting the fundamental rights, the makers of our Constitution were influenced by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights adopted by UN General Assembly. General Assembly of UN is known as the World Parliament. Its parts, composition, functions and procedures are set out in Chapter 4 of United Nations Charter. Its work is to settle the dispute of the different countries of the world and the activities of the United Nations Human Rights Commission. These rights are defined as the basic human rights of all citizens. United Nations Human Rights Commission was established in 1946 to weave the international legal fabric that protects our fundamental rights and freedom. Composed of 53 states members, its brief expanded over time to allow it to respond to the whole range of human rights problems, and it set standards to govern the conduct of the state. These rights are defined as the basic human rights of all the citizens. Here, the word citizen means inhabitant of a particular town or city. Let's continue with the reading. These rights are fundamental to every citizen's life and therefore they are called the fundamental rights. These rights protect citizens against the arbitrary and absolute exercise of power by the government. Fundamental rights protect the liberties and freedom of the citizens against any invasion by the state, prevent the establishment of the absolute rule in the country. They are very essential for all round development of the individuals and the country. These rights protect against arbitrary, means based on random choice or a personal whim. Here the word whim means sudden desire or a change of mind. For example, if you are going to mall, this is not a fundamental right. This is the arbitrary work because you are doing this with your own choice. So, the fundamental rights only protect the works that is the right of the people, right of the persons, not the arbitrary things, and it has the absolute exercise of the power of the government. Fundamental rights incorporated in Part 3 of Constitution are as follows. Here the word incorporated means included. Number 1, right to equality. Number 2, right to freedom. Number 3, right against exploitation. Number 4, right to freedom of religion. Number 5, cultural and educational rights. Number 6, right to constitutional remedies. Now let us discuss them one by one. Number 1, right to equality. The right to equality provides for the equal treatment of everyone before the laws, prevents discrimination on various grounds, treats everybody as equal in matters of public employment, and abolishes untouchability and titles. Next, we will discuss right to freedom. Right to freedom gives citizens basic freedom with respect to speech and expression, form associations, freedom of personal liberty, freedom to live in dignity. After that, we will discuss about right against exploitation. The word exploitation means the act of using resources or the act of treating people unfairly. There are two articles of the Constitution which guarantees the right against exploitation. Traffic in human beings and the beggars and the other similar form of forced labors are prohibited, and any contravention of these provisions shall be offence punishable in accordance with the law. Forced labor is forbidden by the Constitution. No child below the age of 14 years shall be employed to work in any factory or mine or engaged in any other employment. Now we will discuss about right to freedom of religion. According to this right, everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes freedom to change the religion or belief, and everybody can follow any religion without any hesitation, without any problem. They can convert their religion, they can follow any religion. Next is cultural and educational rights. The cultural and educational rights preserve the right of any section of citizens to conserve their religion, culture, language, or script, and right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. Next is right to constitutional remedies. Part 3 of the Constitution provides for the legal remedies for the protection of these rights against their violation by the state or other institutions, individuals. It entitles the citizens of India to move the Supreme Court or High Courts for the enforcement of these rights. The scope of the fundamental rights is as follows. Number 1, the fundamental rights are an integral part of the Constitution. Here, the word integral means important or main. The fundamental rights are an integral part of the Constitution, hence, it cannot be taken away by the ordinary legislation. Number 2, fundamental rights are universal. They are universal in nature, that is, every citizen is entitled to fundamental rights irrespective of caste, color, creed, religion, gender, or social status. Number 3, the fundamental rights are justiciable. The fundamental rights are justiciable as these are enforceable in a court of law, and a suit can be filed in a high court or a supreme court in case there is dissatisfaction or if there has been any kind of violation of these rights. Number 4, the fundamental rights are not absolute. These rights are not absolute and certain necessary changes can be made in it. Also, some restrictions imposed on it for a greater welfare of the society. Number 5 is the fundamental rights can be suspended during emergency. The fundamental rights can be taken away during the emergency. There are three types of emergencies. One is national emergency, second is state emergency, and third is financial crisis. For example, when the president declares an emergency at the times of war or economic or a political crisis, one or more fundamental rights can be suspended until the condition come under control. Now let us discuss about the fundamental duties of every citizen. It shall be the duty of every citizen of India to abide by the Constitution and respect its ideals and institutions, the national flag and the national anthem, to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. Number C, to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India. Number D, to defend the country and render national service which called upon to do so. To value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture, to protect and improve the natural environment, including forest, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. To develop the scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform, to safeguard public property and to abjure violence. So, students, this is the end of the today's topic. I hope you understood the topic and you will solve the exercises by yourself. Don't forget to learn the terms. I will come with the next video of the same chapter. Thank you. Have a nice day.